2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brannon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us.
Heal your trauma now and start living again.
Welcome to the Therapy Brothers podcast.
I'm Brannon.
I'm Tyler.
We're brothers.
We're therapists.
And we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
Hey, Tyler, you ready to have some hard conversations?
Let's do it.
Let the Therapy Brothers podcast begin.
Brannon, I love the festive sweater you got going on today, man. Merry Christmas.
Hey, Mela Kalikimaka, Feliz Navidad.
I love it, man.
All the things. Yeah, where's yours?
Unfortunately, I don't have it on right now, man. I'm going to save it for all the Christmas parties later, I guess.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it tomorrow, man.
I would say that I don't really want to look that way at work, but you know how I dress to go to work, so that doesn't really make a difference. I think you muted yourself there, Brannon.
Oh, sorry. I was saying, what does your wife get you for Christmas? Like a pair of gym shorts? Hey, I got you a new wardrobe for church, for work, for hiking it's hunting gear. Like, here's your gym shorts.
One outfit for every occasion. That's what she says all the time. She jokes with me because she'll see me like put on my clothes to go to work, which is a t-shirt and shorts with my shoes, and then I'll wake up in the morning on a Saturday and I'll put on the exact same outfit and be like, I'm gonna go mow the lawn, and then like the next day I'll get up and I'll be like, I'm gonna go for a hike with the dog, and it's the exact same clothes, just like
and no matter the season, no matter if it's 30 degrees or like 110, like it's the same thing
over and over and over again.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like incredibly like just bad A or mentally ill. Like I don't know what's going on.
Hey, from what I understand, I heard this one time, and I don't know if this is actually true or not, but I heard that people like, Mark Zuckerberg, he's only got like 5 outfits in his closet because he doesn't want to spend the brain power deciding what to wear.
Hey, I'm all about that.
So yeah, now I know what I'm going to wear every day. It's like, my same typical like freedom kind of shirts or whatever, and a pair of cargo shorts, and you're off to the races.
Hey, whatever you're wearing, you're always looking good. Like, always looking good.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we got a review today. I want to read a review if that's all right, and then we'll jump into the topic.
Let's do it.
All right. This one says, I love this episode. Episode 382. Shout out to Nicole. My heart is with you, Nicole. I've listened to this episode more than once. Thank you for being brave and owning your story and sharing on this podcast. I resonated with you being in such a hard place. Me too. Keep doing your work. I'd love to hear an update on your situation, so come back on the podcast again. Hugs and strength to you for choosing to step into the work with 2 feet. I'm on your team, Nicole. Thank you both, Tyler and Brannon. Great work.
That was a really nice one.
Yeah.
Those are the ones we just love, because it's giving some love back to our guests, and knowing that there's love and empathy going on for them when they come on, and is awesome.
Yeah. Well, let's get into this today, Brannon, should we?
Let's get in. This is one of my favorite topics. We might get a little deep, philosophical, but I think if we can have a good discussion about this, hopefully it will help people understand more what our philosophies are and why we do a lot of the things that we do. And I'm happy to share some of my personal experience too, in terms of being a therapist and treating trauma, also going through some of my own work and some of the things that I've done. And I'm sure you're willing to share too, Tyler. So I want to share a quote with you, and maybe we can work off of this quote a little bit. But I was watching a video by Dr. Alec Conisia. I don't know if I'm saying that right. But he said, who we are is a narrative of our emotional experiences. At least who we believe that we are is a narrative of our emotional experiences. So our identity is a narrative or an interpretation through our emotions of the experiences that we've had. What do you think about that?
So if I'm hearing that right, maybe we break this down a little bit. You're basically saying the experiences that we have that are the most emotionally charged have the greatest influence on creating our identity, because our identity is the story of what's happened to us emotionally.
Yeah, and I think we confuse that narrative, that story of what's happened to us, and we take it so far that it actually starts to feel like it is us, like who we are. I am this thing because of the experiences that I've had in my life.
Okay, I'm going to butcher it, but I know that Dr. Gabor Mate, he also had a quote that said something along the same lines, that said, when he was defining what trauma was an emotional experience that shifts the way that I see myself.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So going along with that, and going along with what we're saying about our emotional experiences, leading us to our identities, then could I say that in order to reprocess and in order to shift who we think we are, and in order to heal our trauma, because all those things were an emotional experience, it means we need to have an emotional experience in order to actually reprocess and desensitize some of that trauma.
Right. Yeah. So that's something that we, people who listen to us enough, Brannon, know that we're really big on this idea of experience being a big modality for change in our lives, right? The term we use is called an emotionally corrective experience. And so in essence, here's the theory behind it. So every one of you, our listeners, could be thinking about their own lives right now in this, that why did you end up the way that you are? In whatever it is, the way that you think about things spiritually, the way you think about things relationally, the way you think about yourself, where and how did you come to the place that you believe whatever you do about those things? And if we were to track it back, most of us would probably get, at least in our office, Brannon, if you were to ask those kinds of questions to your clients, what kinds of things do they tell you?
Like say the question again? How did you become the way
that you are? How did you come to be the way that you are in whatever aspect, the way you see yourself, the way you believe about relationships, the way you see the world, the way you respond to the world? Like, how did you come to be how you are?
I mean, they get into a lot of different things like, well, my family was this way, and you know, I've always been this way, or I had this major experience in my life which changed everything. So they just start saying some of those things.
Usually those kinds of answers come to us and they start saying, "Oh, well, I was raised by, you know, a mom who blank," or, "You know what, my family system was this way growing up," or, "Man, when I was in third grade, my teacher had this kind of an interaction and it made me feel like I was stupid." And so, it doesn't take long for people to start thinking about backtracking. They almost backtrack themselves into the places where the beliefs about the way they live were forming.
Yes.
Right. So the body is smart, and the body remembers certain kinds of emotional experiences. And what happens for us is that sometimes we have those emotional experiences, and the byproduct of those things is the natural occurring process in our head of the story that then gets generated as a result of what we've experienced.
Right.
And so these powerful emotional experiences that took place, they just happen to be the life that we live. And when we look back at our own lives, we go, "Yeah, that's the life that I lived." But in reality, those little or sometimes very big emotional experiences fundamentally like developed, they were more important to us in the development of ourselves than any other little things that weren't emotionally charged. So what you're saying, Brannon, is that if the way that we formed the story of who we are was built by powerful emotional experiences, then the healing of the trauma that we experienced that formulated the ideas of who we are or our lives, it would naturally be, the natural thought would be then that I need to have some emotionally corrective experiences to the contrary of the false beliefs that I've been living with forever.
Yeah, and I want to come back to this what we're talking about right here. I would say it goes beyond even emotionally corrective experiences, into spiritual, into like stopping and having experiences that shift everything for you in the healing process. But if we back up just a little bit, I just want to try to say what you just said, maybe in a different way.
Yeah, there's a lot of words. Sorry.
No, you said it great. I think I just want to like really illustrate this out. Like we were born, we have experiences in life, and whatever they are, some are more horrific than others. Some are better than others. But we have this thing inside of us called our ego, which is there to protect us for our survival. And so our ego interprets the experiences that we have. Our body reacts. We have a visceral reaction to these experiences, which can trigger our ego, and our ego is there to protect us. So our ego creates systems, and these systems are there to make sure that we survive. And we're really good at this, like incredibly good at it. And you look at this and you're like, well, okay, what's the problem? If the ego systems are helping you survive, what's the matter with that? Well, it causes all kinds of big problems. And I think when you're young, early stages of development, you're unconsciously creating these systems. They're just happening. And then, and Tyler, I'm sure you can speak to this. I can for sure. You become an adult, you get married, and you start having relationships and your career and all this stuff. And you start to see how these systems actually work in the real world with real relationships and things like that. And a lot of times what you find is like, oh, those systems, they worked to help me survive in maybe my family of origin, but they're not working here. They're actually causing a lot of problems. Me believing like I'm not enough and I got to hide, that's not working in this situation.
It doesn't work getting a promotion at work.
Yeah, that doesn't help me get a promotion at work. And I could go down the list of all these different beliefs and different things we do. We call it being your poser or your masks,
the masks that we wear,
your protective parts. all of these things that we do in order to be okay. And it seems that people in about midlife, they're given a choice to start to either want to get conscious and aware that this ego thing is not who they are, and that they can unburden the ego some and step into who they actually are, versus double down on the shame, fear-based systems and just use those in your life to protect. And the more you're in that state of fear and control, the less peace you're going to have in your life. The less you're going to know who you are, the less purpose you're going to have in your life. The less intimacy and trust and safety you'll have in your life. So although it seems like it's protecting you, it is actually undermining so much in your life. And so coming back to what you were saying, Tyler, about emotionally corrective experiences, the ego, it just gets going. It's just there, and it's like so constant. And what we have a really hard time doing is just stopping, just like being present and just stopping. So because of our ego, we're numbing out with all kinds of things. We're overcompensating, we're overworking, we're defensive, we're like, all this stuff is happening. And what's really, really hard for us is to just be and just listen and
simply be
and let God speak to us. Who are we? We're so scared of that because our ego is fighting against that.
Well, our ego is afraid of what we might find if we're left with nothing but that stillness and that question.
Right.
This just happened just this morning in one of my groups. Somebody referenced that they can't go through their whole day without having their earbuds in to listen to something all day long.
Yeah.
And they actually referenced that same thought of like, I can't stand the thought of being alone with my own thoughts.
Yep.
That's the fear. Like, so that's the ego. The ego is doing everything that you can to try to self-protect. And it's funny that you said this, Brannon, because I'm trying to play it safe by overly protecting, and that's the very thing that's actually getting me stuck and trapped. So safety is at the forefront of my mind by the time I get to my middle age, and I don't really want to be out there like taking risks or living the life I was designed for, because my ego is now so firmly attached. And it's like, okay, here's this crossroads of what life do I want to live? Do I want to live according to these things that are just automatic in me now? I don't really even have to think about them. I'm not even really fully aware of what's driving my decisions, because it's just what I do now. Mm-hmm. And I either have to stop and get conscious and then make some decisions and then choose to live a different path or a different life that might lead to different outcomes that I actually want, or I'm going to continue to just barrel through producing the same things that I've always produced, which were driven by safety in the first place, really. I mean, right at the core of a lot of our trauma and the response that we have to our traumas is a way to try to protect ourselves.
Right. Yeah, you talk about the barreling forward, like that is our default mode. It's just so automatic. It's just what we do. And so it feels really weird to take this thing that we think that is working for us or is unconsciously working for us and ask it to stop for a minute. And, Tyler, if we were to just, if you were to just stop for an hour and just stare at that white wall there for an hour and do nothing else, and why don't we do that? Right? Like you'd start to see all kinds of things pop into your brain, just like all kinds of stuff and thoughts, and it would be really interesting. It would be really fascinating. But someone in my group last week, we were kind of talking about this, and she said, I read a study, and I should find this study. But it was something like, if you spend 17 minutes in just stillness, in quiet meditative contemplation, and you spend a full 17 minutes, it not only has effects for your day, but and not just your week, but it can have a drastic effect on your life. Now, think about that. Like 17 minutes. To some people, 17 minutes sounds like an eternity. Why?
Yeah. 5 minutes of that sounds like an eternity.
Of just stopping and just being.
Yeah, well, I think it's uncomfortable, Brannon, for lots of reasons. One, I think just a broader overall reason of that is because culturally we're not built that way. We are built to be in a linear tone, getting to some place, doing a goal, accomplishing something, checking off a box or something. And so, just to stop and take 5, let alone 17 minutes of just pure stillness to simply observe thoughts just feels unnatural, and it almost feels unproductive.
Well, because it's there's our ego. Like,
yeah.
it is unproductive to do that, to just sit. Yet it can affect your whole life. Dr. Alex said, once we have access to our emotions, we have a chance to become someone else. But I think like so many people don't understand how limited they are in having access to those emotions.
We spend most of our lives trying to avoid uncomfortable emotions to the point that we avoid our lives altogether, in essence, by staying busy.
Yeah.
And what you're saying, Brannon, is that there might be some merit to that, 17 minutes of stillness to simply just observe the comings and goings of whatever comes and goes inside of you. Your thoughts, your feelings, your physiology. It's the observing and the awareness itself that then creates the access to the emotions you're talking about.
Yes, that space.
Instead of doing, thinking, it's
numbing.
It's noticing, it's becoming aware, and then allowing that awareness to then let you then make whatever your future decisions are going to be.
It's not a ramp up of like mindfulness of like, okay, I gotta notice everything. It's actually a let go, a stopping, a stillness, and then just seeing what's there. And when what's there comes up, if you're really resistant to doing this, then what might come up in those moments is a lot of pain. A lot of judgment, shame, pain. I mean, it can be really hard. And yet, I know that you can stay there, you can process it, you can feel it, you can allow it, and there's relief on the other side, right?
Yeah. So, Brannon, a question then, and this is going to be something that I think our clients probably ask us all the time, and it's a really good question because some of the answers feel like they're intangible a little bit. Like, so a client's going to say, I get hijacked or I get triggered by something, right?
Right.
Whatever happens, I hear this song on the radio and all of a sudden, boom, my whole body is like lit up, thinking, feeling, whatever else. Like, how do I manage that then? Because in essence, what we're saying is that's just old trauma that's reliving itself as a result of whatever song just came on the radio and caused the reminder inside the body to respond in the way that it was taught to respond, or that it responded when the trauma happened. Right?
Yeah. I mean, let's think about it in a way of like, what would a good parent do to a child who gets triggered? Like a really good parent, what would they do? What they wouldn't do is tell them to like knock it off, like invalidate their emotions. They wouldn't do that. They also wouldn't try to fix it in the moment. Hey, let me make sure that you're okay. They would stop with that child and they would say, "Oh, you're feeling scared. Oh, you're triggered. You're in a hard place right now." Okay, so what am I doing right there, Tyler?
So the parent role, in the example you're using, the parent role is then exactly what we're talking about, is the awareness piece. It's the holding of space for the child, which we learn to do for ourselves by just allowing ourselves to become aware of what our experience is in that given moment. That's the beginning stage.
Accessing your emotions is about not if you have a big trigger being like, oh, I shouldn't have that trigger. Like, I want to be healthy.
Or how do I get rid of that? Or how do I not let it hijack me so much?
Access the emotion. Oh, there's the emotion. Oh, that song brought up some stuff for me. I can see it. The 5 A's to emotion regulation. First, you're aware that you're having an emotion. You don't judge it, you accept it, and then you acknowledge it. You're aware, you accept it, you acknowledge, like, oh, there it is. And I would take that even further. Acknowledge that with compassion for yourself. So now this is when we talk about having space and stopping and being. It's not having your ego respond to that pain and trying to protect you and fix it. It's actually, I believe, having your soul respond with love and compassion to allow yourself to feel it. And if you do that, then you're going to have an actual probably positive experience from this pain that's coming up for you.
The positive experience comes in the learning to trust yourself to feel.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. Is it's like, I'm allowed to be a human being who has this feeling of, I'm experiencing this fear right now, or this anxiety right now, or this worry, or this shame right now that I'm feeling. And not only am I going to acknowledge it, I'm going to get keenly aware of it. I'm going to trust myself to know that it's okay to feel those things. So now I can go even, and the awareness can go even as deep as like the actual physiology of it. Like, oh, what's my shame feel like? My shame is like this. It's like this hollow pit in the middle of my chest. There's heaviness that comes on my shoulders. I almost feel like a burden. My head starts to dip. I get this fog in my brain. It's hard to think. And I feel this deep desire to hide.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what shame is like for me. I'm experiencing shame right now, and I don't have to run from it. I can acknowledge it. The worst it can make me do is feel. And now that I can trust myself to feel, it starts to open me up to the possibility of feeling all sorts of other types of experiences that could be in the realm of that, what we'd call those emotionally corrective experiences.
Yeah. Yeah. Tyler, it's interesting you bring up this example, because we can go through this process of healing with little things that happen throughout our day. Like, oh, a song came on and I'm triggered. And so let me stop, get present, process through this. We can also go through these things on a bigger level, right? Where we can stop and just look at our life and be like, okay, hang on. I keep marrying the same person, but they're a different person. What? I keep making the same amount of money. I keep having the same level of connection with God over and over and over again. I want something different, but I'm not getting something different. So maybe I need to stop and be still for a minute and just get conscious, get aware, and then look at what identities do I have, or what roles do I play that actually create those things in my life. And then you get aware, like, oh, I'm showing up, like you brought up, unlovable or at work, right? Let's say, oh, I'm not getting that promotion. Well, that makes total sense considering the energy in which I'm showing up with at work, right? So then what we started talking about is, that's the narrative that I have, is, and that's the way I'm resonating. Let me give you an example, Tyler. Let's say I'm resonating and I just believe I'm a loser. Okay. So to you, we're just having a relationship, just whatever. But deep down, like, I'm just a loser. Okay. You're going to naturally, Tyler, actually treat me as if I'm a loser. Do you know why?
I don't want to treat you like you're a loser.
I know, but you would a little bit.
I don't even know that you think that about yourself.
Yeah, but actually,
consciously.
But you do. There's a part of you that does know that, and because you're an empathetic being. You're an energetic being. So you're going to pick up on my energy of I'm a loser. You're going to like feel that with me. Now you might, because you're trying to be kind and loving, you might overcompensate and try to show me what a loser I'm not, right?
Yeah, right.
Or
which is me then babying you.
Which is you believing that I believe that I'm a loser, right? Or you might be like, well, I'm not gonna like work with him or do any projects with him because he's a loser. So like, I'm not gonna step in anything with him.
I start pulling away, or I don't fully invest.
Yeah, and so you're treating me as if I'm a loser. And what that does is help me believe and reinforce that that's who I am. That is such an identity that the world around me is going to conspire to create that for me.
And the world around can't really even hardly help it because they're not conscious either. And this comes back to like what you're talking about with the blessing and the curse that is mirror neurons. We as human beings, we have the capability without any spoken words of often tapping into what the experience or the emotions are of other people around us simply just by looking at them and their expressions on their face and the way that they carry themselves.
Yeah.
So without even being conscious that we're actually doing it, every one of us as human beings is already doing it every day in the way that we apprise seeing and talking to people and interacting with people. That's what you're getting at, Brannon, is that whether I believe I'm sharing it or not, like you didn't tell me, hey, Tyler, I think I'm a loser, but the way that you showed up and the way that your body language came through, and I have tools the same way you do in your brain called mirror neurons, which are to pick up on the emotional state of the other person.
It's empathy.
It's empathy. Even if I might not be very good at showing it back to you, but I'm picking it up.
I'm absolutely picking it up.
Right. And maybe that's even one reason why I don't do very well with empathy is because I'm out of touch with it in myself too a little bit, but I have the capability. So
right.
now what you're saying is that we then start to produce the very things that we don't want, that reinforce the stories that we've already started to believe about ourselves. And those stories only formed because we interpreted certain kinds of emotional experiences in a certain way.
Right. So if I believe I'm a loser, is it possible for me to actually shift and start truly believing that I'm a winner? Like that I absolutely am not a loser. So let's say my whole childhood, all the world around me is conspiring to help me see that I'm a loser. My horrible trauma is there to show me that I'm a loser. My self-fulfilling prophecies and all the things that I'm doing are just showing me that that's what I am. Can I actually shift into, hang on a second here, I'm a winner now? Like I really am a winner.
I had an experience with this very principle, Brannon, when I was doing some EMDR. And in that EMDR session, I was processing a memory from my past. And in that memory, I had felt like I was letting you and Rex down. I felt powerless, and I felt like I was disappointing everybody, and I felt like a total failure. And I felt that way in that moment. And then after that, for years, I could find proof of all the ways that I let everyone down, especially my siblings and especially my family, and how I was such a failure. And in the EMDR session that we were doing, I was going back, and we started with that target memory from way back in the past. It was really poignant, really strong. And it was hard, Brannon. Like it was really, really hard. It was a rough session of EMDR. I felt things, I call them my own.
You access the emotion.
Yeah, like it was full flow of emotion. Like I felt like I was like confronting some of my own personal demons in like, man, Tyler, you've been holding on to a lot of this stuff for so long. And somewhere in the midst of all of that, there's this heightened emotional state, and something clicked in the way that I was looking at that memory, and it shifted everything. And it went from me feeling powerless and like a failure and like I was weak to, Tyler, like you stepped into a powerless situation with courage. You're a first responder. You were willing to put yourself on the line for something, and you failed at it because you were in a powerless situation, but you were courageous. You were the hero in that situation, actually. Like, and that felt in that moment, that felt truer than the way that I'd been feeling like it was true that I'd been a failure and weak and powerless my whole life and inadequate.
Yep.
And so I walked out of that session and I look back at that memory now, and I almost look at that memory now with like a fresh set of eyes. And I can't even, it's more than just a rational thought. Like I can't even really give it the feeling just through words, but like
you experience something different.
Something shifted in me emotionally, physically.
Yes.
Like I look at that memory now and it doesn't bring up the shame and the fear and the powerlessness. It almost brings up this like, dang, even at a young age, like I had it in me. I was courageous.
Yes.
Like I was, I don't like the outcome of what happened, but I was courageous.
Yeah.
And I have it in me. And like my daughter, she did this thing for me. I'll show you this. For some reason, she did this the other day. She said, "Dad, who you are to me," and you can see hers is the top part. Like these are the names that she has for me, right? And then she wrote another section like who you are to yourself, and she wanted me to fill those all out. So I put down all of my new names that I've accumulated over the last 20 years of recovery for myself. And right there in the middle, one of those is actually first responder, right underneath brother. And I'm like, I got that name in that very same memory that I felt all of that failure.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
Yeah. I actually earned that name as a first responder, like someone who goes into the fire, someone who doesn't run away, somebody who steps in. And it came in the place where I felt maybe my weakest when I interpreted it the first time.
But I want to highlight that how you got it. You went and did EMDR, and EMDR, a really good EMDR therapist is really good at staying out of the way, like not activating your ego, and they will like how many times you wave your hand and you say, what's coming up?
What are you noticing?
What are you noticing? Go with that. What we're doing is just like stopping and accessing what is. And because you were able to let go, Tyler, and actually just let that process and let that access, the healing took place. The truth became manifest to you beyond all of the messaging and all the stories and all the everything that you had lived with your whole life. And in that moment when you were able to just be and just listen, you got an answer. And that is so healing. You can feel it from you when you talk about it.
Yeah. Just to go along with that, Brannon, when you say just be and just listen, it was the willingness to go there and allow the experience to happen again too.
Yeah.
Like to allow that to happen. And what's cool about that with the EMDR was EMDR is built on this premise that we as human beings, we already have it built into us. It's already built into us to do our own healing. The brain is capable of doing its healing if we can get our ego out of the way. The brain can reprocess an emotion. The brain can feel differently about something. The brain can manages the body differently. It's the ego that is actually, and the story that we formed in the first place that's causing us to be stuck. But the brain is already capable of fixing it.
Whether it's I believe certain modalities actually activate ego and can actually contribute to the problem. But whether it's EMDR, ART, plant medicine, holotropic breath work, I could go down the list. All of those things are awesome healing modalities. Awesome. Amazing. I've seen miracles happen, like legit amazing miracles. But all of those things invite and require one thing for the healing to happen. And what is that, Tyler?
I think it's a willingness to, what they do is they provide the space to go there.
Yeah.
They provide, like, they're not being directive in a certain kind of way. They're creating the space for you to actually go there.
To access.
And let your body, brain, soul, heart, feel, process, and
let go and let God.
Surrender.
Yeah. You surrender to that moment, you surrender to God, you let go, and then you see it's faith. It's like you see what will happen and what answers you get from there, and you don't know those answers beforehand. You didn't know you were going to get those answers in that EMDR session, Tyler.
No.
I've done ART where I ended up in a place where I did not expect at all. I was like laughing hysterically on the floor at the by the end of it, and I was loving it. I was like laughing and loving.
And you were processing something really painful when you started.
I thought I would be just a bucket of tears, and I was, but they were like happy tears. I was laughing. You know, my ayahuasca ceremony, I went in, I felt like I was really prepared, ready, open to anything. And I spent the good majority puking my guts out, and also the other end, a lot came out. Like my gut was wrenching harder than it ever had. And I was wondering if I was going to survive. And I looked at that, and I look back on that, and I'm like, that was one of the hardest experiences of my life. And you know what it felt like, Tyler? It felt like my body had been holding so much pain and energy from other people for 15 years of doing therapy that it took its opportunity to be like, cleanse, like get it all out, every last bit. I did not expect my ayahuasca. I thought I was going to be just like,
be seeing Kumbaya,
hanging out with, a great grandpa on the mountain and, seeing the light of God, which I had a little of that too. But I did not expect that at all.
But it's what you needed.
I got what I needed. I let go. I surrendered to those experiences. You cannot think your way out of your trauma. You cannot just push your trauma aside and pretend like it's not there when it's unconsciously dominating your life. You can't. You can shift your narrative of who you are. You can change your identity and start to know who you actually are and get answers that are so clear to you if you're willing to go do that work. And Tyler, this is the program that we've set up is all about this. We walk you into those experiences again and again. As you go through that journey, you are given opportunity after opportunity to say, oh, I'm not who I thought I was. It's like we spend the first part of our life getting really good at protecting ourselves. And then as we get older, we're like, okay, I'm going to spend the rest of my life untangling all of this and actually figuring out who I actually am.
I'm going to pull the calluses off that have been there that I didn't even realize I developed until I'm left with nothing but the truth of who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I have peace.
That's why Lion King like rings true for so many people. Remember who you are.
Yeah. That's what it is. And you know what? The Mufasa in the sky, whatever.
Yeah.
Just do a little holotropic breath work. You'll see your Mufasa. You'll actually see him like, hey,
maybe it's actually possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but yeah, I like that idea, Brandon. So back to the original question then. I mean, we've been kind of all over the map, and I don't know that there is a quick and easy answer here. I know we're getting close on time. How do you heal your trauma now and change your life forever?
You have to have safety. So you have to create a set and a setting where you are safe. And so it really matters who you're around, matters where you're at, and it matters that you're safe. Because if you're being asked to surrender and let go, your ego is not going to allow you to do that unless you feel safe, unless you know that you are. So that's step number one. Step number two is that you enter the cave that you fear to enter, and you step into the emotional experience, whatever that is. And that can be done through EMDR, ART, breath work, all the things, right? But those things allow you to have an experience. Okay. The next thing, Tyler, is to actually listen. And don't discount or talk yourself out of the powerful experience that you have, and then start to do the integrative work once you get those answers to actually practice that new identity consistently over time, again and again. Practice that new identity. And at first it's even when if you have an angel come down to you and say, this is who you are, and it's still afterwards you go back to your old life, and it's still like, okay, I still have to practice the courage in this moment to step into who I actually am now. And as you do that, chaos will ensue, because your inputs in your life are all used to you showing up a certain way. So those inputs are going to shift and change. But once it does, then you'll start to feel peace. You'll start to feel in alignment with yourself. You'll be living more in your integrity. You won't have things to hide. You'll create better connections in your life. So that's kind of I just went over it quickly, Tyler.
Yeah,
anything you'd like to add?
No, everything you said there is right. So safety means creating the right set and setting to allow yourself to be in a spot where you could surrender to a process.
Yes.
Next, choose the process, whatever that's going to be, some formal kind of a process, breath work, plant medicine, EMDR, ART, IFS, whatever. Or it could even just be the art of learning to actually create stillness in your life and become aware of allowing yourself to observe and feel.
It can just happen in your closet.
Yeah. And again, all of these things you're not going to do this all in like one day and boom, it's all done. This is more of like a process type of a thing you're talking about.
Yep.
But then allow yourself to go there and let the body and the brain do what it's capable of doing and have a new experience. And inside that experience, there will come some kind of a new story, a new narrative. And once you walk away from that experience with the new narrative, it's on you to reinforce that narrative by integrating it into your life through the inputs you decide to strengthen it with.
Yes, exactly.
So,
that we make it sound easy. It is possible for anybody, but I would recommend surrounding yourself with like-minded people who are practicing this. And I've seen good support really help people through these processes. So it's out there for you. We can, both Tyler and I run groups on this. We have content about it. We have retreats. We have all kinds of stuff, all built around exactly what we talked about today.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Brannon. I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. You know, it's a great time of year. It's a good time to pause and think about the things that are most important in life. This is a total random thing, but this was its own form of an emotional experience. I've watched it already, and I already referenced it to my groups. So I'm going to reference it to all my groups, but we watched Les Mis last night, just the 2012 version with like Russell Crowe and, you know,
bring him home.
Brannon, it was deeply, deeply moving for me and for my family. I think it's got to be one of the best stories ever told. I'd challenge everybody to pause. You know, you got a little bit of downtime, get some people you love around you and watch that show with the idea of what common humanity really means, what it means to just be a human being. And you might have your own kind of an emotional experience, mostly corrective experience with something simple like that. So,
well, Tyler, it's funny you bring that up because I brought this up last week in my groups too. I guess we're on the same wavelength. But Jean Valjean is a great example of a shift in identity.
It's all about identity.
Yeah, he's one thing, and he's stealing from the priest, and then he has an emotionally corrective experience, and luckily he listened. Because that priest helped him, was a catalyst to help him have that experience, and everything shifted for him after that. He created a completely different life as a result of that experience.
That's a perfect example, Brannon, of what we've been talking about today. So anyway, love our listeners. Thank you for being here with us. You guys have a Merry Christmas, and until next time, keep on keeping on.